Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here, baseball collector, and it's Sunday night, and it's been a couple of weeks since we've done an episode of Beyond Cardboard, so we're going to do another one tonight, and I'm really excited to talk to our guest tonight. But believe it or not, I just looked earlier. This is my 25th episode of Beyond Cardboard, so I have had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of the guys in the community that you will know and love, and so if you want to go back and search for old episodes, search for somebody you might want to look for. And if you see them, you can watch it. If you don't see them, let me know and we'll try to have them on as a guest. But the first thing to do tonight, so we can start having some great discussion, is bringing in my man, my star, none other than Mark Foo 3112. What's up, Mark?
Not much, man. How you been?
You know, I've been good. My daughter was here this weekend, so we just sent her back. Funny story though, man. She was on her way here Friday, and she was just coming home for the weekend, even though she has spring break. Like a week from now, she'll be on spring break. And she was driving down. She got pulled over for a ticket. She was going 106 in a 70. Like she drives a Honda CRV. How can someone drive 106? Like, how can you even get that car 106? It was really, I was really mad at her because it's like a $500 ticket.
Yeah. And she's on your insurance, I assume, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So, yay.
What can you do?
So how was your week, man? Tell me what's going on with you.
It was good, man. So yesterday was my 1-year wedding anniversary. So that was actually really cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been great.
Sandy's a saint.
Yeah, she's awesome. We just kind of kept it low key. Went out to a restaurant last night, had a few drinks. Just kind of kept it simple because we're simple people, actually. Aside from that, also exciting stuff, man. I actually booked my flight and hotel for the 2020 National in Atlantic City. So my first time going to Jersey. I'm super excited. This is also going to be my second National. How about you? Did you get yours already, or?
Yeah, we're booked and ready to go. Andy and I, she blinded me with refractors. We're staying together, and we're booked and ready to roll. I think a lot of people are going to start doing that sooner rather than later. It's good to get that rolling. So congrats, man. I'm excited to see you again.
Thank you. Likewise, man. I'm excited to see everybody. Actually, it's going to be funny because when I went last year, it's kind of like, who are you again? And who are you? And I'd never heard of you, but I think it's going to be a lot funner this year. Just seeing everybody back together, and you kind of know a little more about everybody and their collecting habits and, just the way they operate. So I think I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, it'll be a blast. And, let's talk about the National with our guest tonight. That's probably a good idea. We'll get that going here in just a second. But let me introduce him. His name's Livan. His channel is LA Collection, and his collection is absolutely sick. He has got some amazing stuff, and I'm going to bring him on right now. Here he is, Livan. Oh, look, he's showing a.
Hey, hey, everybody.
What is up?
Hey, congratulations, Mark.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're also coming up on your 1-year anniversary of that 52 Mano. That's an even bigger anniversary.
So yeah, a lot of things to celebrate, But speaking of the National, are you attending this year? Or?
So I'm contemplating attending. I have not attended the National since 2006, which was the last time it was in Southern California, which is crazy because that show started in LA. And then now it hasn't come back to LA since 2006. So thank God I took those days off and went to the National every day because it hasn't been back since. So as far as this year goes, I'm contemplating it. If I do, I'll definitely put out a video. But as of right now, it's on hold.
Okay, let me just say really quick though that while I was looking for hotels, a lot of them in that area were sold out. Also, if any of our viewers are watching, don't wait too long because prices are they're not cheap. So that's a big thing. I mean, I'm staying there for like 2 nights, and my my hotel stay is like, I think $613 with tax.
Oh,
and
wow.
That is just for 2 nights, but I'm going on Friday. I'll arrive on Friday, and then I'm leaving Sunday. So I'll do the whole show Saturday, and then part of Sunday, and I'm flying out. So it's kind of, in and out for me. How about you, Mike?
I'm going in Tuesday, and I'll be there Wednesday through most of Saturday. We fly out Saturday night. So
okay. All right.
Yeah. So you and I can hang out one night, Mark, and
We
then
will.
Livan can hang out with us. Dude, I'm telling you, you will not regret going. I'm telling you.
Right on.
It is amazing, and just as much all about the cardboard as the people, and so it'll rock your world, man. But speaking of your, collection and all of that kind of stuff, this is a show attempting to learn more about you and let everybody else out there kind of get to know you a little bit better. I honestly recently discovered your channel about 4 or 5 months ago, I guess. So I'm not a long-time viewer of your channel, but what I've seen, man, has been insanely impressive. How did you get kind of started? How'd you get going collecting? Tell us that story.
So my earliest memory is, I want to say, I don't know if it was 1991 or 92, but because my first set was 91-92 Skybox basketball. So that's my earliest memory. And to my recollection, I basically saw a package or like a box on a rack with packs, and I asked my grandpa to buy a pack, and turned out like I had no idea what they were. I really didn't even know. They were just shiny foil, and I got enticed, and they were like $1 or $2. So he said, sure. And that is my earliest memory of opening up any type of sports cards. It's either 91 or 92, because 91-92 Skybox. So one of those years. And I just the look of the wax packs got me enticed to buy it, and I've been hooked ever since.
Man, that's a early start. So when you started collecting, was it just basketball, or were you did you just kind of get into everything? How did that roll for you?
So it started with basketball for a couple years, but I really got into baseball with like Ken Griffey Jr. And then Gretzky was on the LA Kings. So my uncle watched a lot of hockey. So I got a little bit into hockey. And then I played football throughout junior high and high school. So I was really into football, but I all came back to my first love, which was actually baseball. And then I do collect a little bit of basketball still, but it's I would say about 85-90% baseball.
Nice. So speaking about baseball, though, what's your favorite team, favorite player?
Right.
Yeah, are you just solely, teams based out of California, or do you kind of venture out as well?
So anybody who knows me knows that I'm a major Yankees fan. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love my Yanks. The reason why I love Yankees is I fell in love with Babe Ruth, and that's a whole nother different story. But that's how I got my love to grow for the Yankees. But being from LA and just having so many great franchises here, the Lakers, the Dodgers, you name it, I do love all my Southern California teams. But if there's one team above all, especially in baseball, I love my Yankees. And of course, equally, I try to love my Dodgers as well, and definitely the Lakers. So I do love my Southern California teams, but there's got to be one team above all. It's got to be the Yankees.
Nice. Good choice. There you go. You got a thumbs up from New York's fan 7. So
right on.
Everybody, as you're watching this, we got 40 plus people in the chat. If y'all have collections for Livan as we go along, throw them up here. Mark and I'll be looking for those. We'll throw them on when we can, kind of interrupt just to kind of throw some curveballs in the deal. But please ask questions at whatever you want to hear. We may skip it if we're going to ask the question ourselves, because we'll find it on our own. But so I know how much you love Ruth, and I've seen your Ruth collection. It's stunning and impressive. I don't have enough superlatives to heap on it. What's your favorite set, though? If you love Ruth, what's kind of your favorite set? What do you love?
Well, that's a really long-winded answer. I'm gonna bring it down to like probably 3 different sets that I love. I love 53 Bowman. The colors are, insane. I also love 53 Topps. Such a beautiful set, and that one red corner or black corner always gets you right. Yeah. But if I had to pick one set only, I probably would pick 53 Bowman, although I don't really have too many 53 Bowmans, but I really appreciate just how beautiful those cards are. So that's the one.
Hard to argue with that. Is your focus kind of are you a vintage guy mainly? What's your focus?
So my main focus is vintage. I have dabbled in so many different sports cards. I even a few months ago bought a couple packs of soccer cards. I know it's crazy, man, but you know what I mean? But for the most part, I would say my main focus is vintage baseball, and I would say even 60s and before, even 70s. I have like the George Brett, the Yount, 71 Tops, Thurman Munson. I have some of those cards, but even the 70s, I don't really consider too vintage. So I would say 60s and before baseball is my main focus.
Awesome. Do you, guess a follow up real quick, and then I'm sure Mark has a few questions for you, but do you have a lot of the 33 Gaudis besides the Ruths?
I have probably 5 or 6, not too many. My main one is, of course, my Ruth. This is my love. And the reason why I love this card so much, I kind of did a quick story about it in my video, and I'll share a real quick 30 seconds. Basically, I was in a card shop when I was like 16, 15, and I was buying some basketball and some baseball packs, and I saw this card in raw form, and it was like $3,000. And I thought to myself, there's no jersey, there's no autograph, it's not serial numbered, it's not in a slab. Why on earth would this piece of junk card bent in half be $3,000? Well, I went home, I had just gotten the internet, and I just started Googling this guy. And I was like, who is this guy? Why? Why would anybody pay that money for it? So long story short, I just started reading as much as I could about Ruth, and I ended up falling in love with him. And that's why that card is so special to me. But to answer your question more specifically, I mean, it was the one card that got me to get away from mostly modern and into vintage.
Nice.
Very cool. No, that was actually a good story though. Let me see. So you said that you've dabbled with soccer, you've kind of dabbled also with basketball, but your primary focus is baseball.
Yes.
Is there like a collecting niche that you never did, but you kind of wish you could start looking back now?
You know, I actually thought about that because I know you guys asked that question to a couple other people. You know, again, I dabbled on so many different things. I bought memorabilia, I bought cards, I bought vintage. To be honest with you, the one thing I wish I bought more of, and it's kind of crazy because this is really away from my main focus, but it's late 90s inserts. If you look at the late 90s inserts cards, they have skyrocketed. Star Rubies, Precious Metal Gems, anything serial numbered, game dated, Bowman's Best Refractors, like those mid to late 90s inserts cards, baseball, basketball, football, have been going nuts. Even common players are selling for hundreds of dollars because they're so cool, and people are realizing you got one per case and it was worth like $10. But now they're so rare. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I wish I bought some Star Rubies, you know, Ken Griffey Jr., whoever it was, Michael Jordan. That's the one niche that I always loved but never really got into, and I wish I did.
Yeah, those are definitely getting popular. By the way, if you're a jackass in the comments, I'm going to block you. So just so you know, so the 90s insert stuff, I mean, there's literally channels just dedicated to that because it's become so popular, and they're super cool. I mean, that was right in my wheelhouse of collecting. I started in the 80s, but by the 90s, I was a big Juan Gonzalez collector. So he was in every set in the 90s. And so I got to see all of those things. Somebody asked, and it was a great question, what is your favorite card that you have? If you had to pick a card, is it the Ruth?
It's got to be the Ruth. And obviously there's 4 Ruths if you know anything about the Gaudi set. But it's got to be, I'm sorry?
That's the best one, in my opinion.
It is, because it's the only one with the full body pose. Yeah. And it's the only one. It's kind of like, he kind of just looks like a kid playing in a ballpark. It's so innocent, you know? And for me in particular, other than the beauty of it, it's the one card that, again, that got me to completely change my direction from buying packs of basketball and baseball to collecting vintage. So that's like really unique and really special to me because it just changed my whole trajectory of my collecting life since then.
Mark, should we pull up Lou's question?
Lou Rock.
Lou Rock. Question: what's the next must-get card? Another Ruth, a Jordan, or maybe a LeBron?
That's a good question. You know, Ruth, Jordan, and LeBron is all going nuts. But if you are going to buy one from an investment point of view, right now, the biggest upside is LeBron James. And I'll tell you why. He's now in basically the largest franchise basketball market other than the Knicks, but no disrespect to the Knicks. No one really, I mean, the Knicks are the Knicks, whatever. So long story short, if LeBron, or I should say when LeBron wins a couple of championships in the LA market with the Lakers, there is so much more upside to his cards. And then, of course, as we see with all players towards the end of their career, when they start breaking records and they start going to the top of those accolades, the top of those like all-time lists, and they're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's always a very, very quick upward trajectory in their prices because of the demand and the popularity for their cards. So I would say LeBron is the number one guy to buy right now from a financial standpoint, because when he wins some rings and then he retires and he goes down, if not the greatest, top 3 greatest, and then he's right about to go into the Hall of Fame, if you think his cards are crazy now, they're going to go absolutely nuts.
That's awesome. I kind of agree with you. I do. Yeah, I do. He's breaking records already. He's breaking records already. Once he wins probably 1 or 2 more championships, it's going to definitely up the value of his cards. Not only that, but when he retires, and then also when he enters the Basketball Hall of Fame, I mean, he definitely there's certain more. There's a lot more steps that he's going to go through that are going to make his card prices go up. So I completely agree with everything that you said on that.
Absolutely. And sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to ask both of y'all a question, and Mark and I were talking about this earlier. How about what's been going on the last few weeks in card prices, period? Like, what are y'all's thoughts about literally the explosion in not only baseball, but basketball? And what you can go first, Livan, and I'll let Mark answer too.
So I would say 2 things to all collectors. The first thing is be careful. Second thing is have fun. Okay. If you don't care about Juan Soto and you just want to invest in some of his cards, that's fine, but be careful. Okay. Invest in some stuff where if he hurts his leg or God forbid something happens to him and his cards go down the tubes, you still like him. So it's not bad. You know what I mean? You're still having fun. You still like him or the team he plays for. So be careful. There's a lot of people putting tons and tons of money into Tatis, and Tatis respectfully hasn't really proved himself, right? I mean, I know a lot of people love him, but like he's pretty, you know what I mean? Like he's very volatile. So if you really like him, again, be careful, but have fun. If you like him, go ahead, buy some of his stuff, but don't go too crazy because we haven't really seen so many of these guys have traction. Same thing with Vladdy. Vladdy's great. He's a legacy player, but what has he really done? You know what I mean? Respectfully, nothing much. So have fun, buy the players you like. Definitely take some risk, but be careful on how much risk you take because it could go the other way really, really fast.
Okay, and that's definitely good advice. Kind of buy the players that you like because that way you won't be disappointed, whatever happens as far as a market value. But as far as to kind of jump back to Mike's question, I think what's happening is that, particular with the 2018 Topps update, the bad up, I was going to say Juan Soto with the Acuna card.
Yeah.
So that card, I bought that card maybe, I say like maybe 3 weeks ago for about $91. It has hit as much as high as about $310, $315. And I don't know if you guys follow Gary Vee or not, but he, he's an influencer in a sense. And he has about I think 2.1 million followers on Twitter. So, he's basically telling everybody, hey, invest in these guys. But what I think Gary Vee does, just in my opinion, is that he buys all these cards, he hoards them. And then, of course, he goes ahead and says a word, hey, buy this guy. This guy's going to get hot. So he's basically influencing all these people to go out there and purchase these cards. And then all he's doing is selling his cards right back out to all of you. And that's just the way I see it, though. Not only that, though, but I think the prices as far as the 300s cooled down. That card, which is right now the hottest card in the hobby, I believe, is still very affordable. Right now it's about $250. And I think that it's not really going to go up from that anymore at the time until at least baseball season starts. And the reason for is because if people want to see if he's actually going to produce or not. Hopefully he does good in his first few games, but I also have a feeling that if he kind of maybe goes 0 for 4 or something, I think that people are going to be jumping ship and selling. So we'll see. But either way, we saw this with Mike Trout. Mike Trout didn't start too hot right away. And I remember his cards were about $100 at least the first year, and it took some time. Actually, it took about, I think, 6 years before it even hit about the $300, $350 mark. And all those people now who are saying, well, I can't afford Trout. Well, maybe go ahead and go for an Acuna card. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when that card is maybe $500, $800, $1,000, you're going to wish that you maybe bought it at $250. And $250 is still a reasonable price. They can still get that card. And even if it went down a little bit, it's still not enough that's going to, break the bank in that sense. So if you don't have it, consider getting it. Even at a $250 price tag right now, you will thank me for this.
Absolutely. And Mark, if I could add to that, look, I completely agree with you. I think sometimes it's better. Like, I love Gary Vee, so I have nothing negative to say about him. I don't know if he's doing exactly that. It seems like he's doing that, but he's definitely a market mover. And there's obviously a couple people on YouTube now that are pretty new to YouTube, like Sports Card Investor. He's pretty much a market mover himself. I don't know if he's waiting for us little people to buy it so then he can dump it and make the big bucks, but definitely buying much larger quantities. So all the quantities are going down very, very rapidly. And then the people who are left are paying more for the lower quantities that are left in the market. But I'll tell you guys one thing, especially about the modern cards, unless they're low serial numbered, please don't think they're rare, especially new collectors, guys. Please, please, please. There's millions of this stuff printed. There's millions of Zions. There's millions of Juan Sotos. There's millions of Acuñas. Don't sit there and be like, oh my God, bat down, it's so rare. Yeah, it's extremely rare compared to the other ones, the super short print. But believe me, it's not like there's 50 of them out there. So,
well, no, if you notice, I mean, I was looking at the pop report, and God, I think for the update one, the 250, there's over 10,000 graded. If anything, or 10,000 in a grade of a 10. You actually have a better chance of getting a 10 out of a pack than you do as a 9, because a 9 actually has a lesser pop, though. But we'll get into that in a moment, though. Okay. Mike, I think you got another question for him?
Sure. So, and I'll dovetail this with a question that was on the chat. Mm-hmm. Kind of, what's your dream item, Livan? Or maybe just what's your next big thing? What are you looking for, hunting for right now?
Okay, so a little bit away from cards, my next big thing is a single sign Babe Ruth baseball. It's got to be like, the showcase of or like the centerpiece of my Babe Ruth collection. He was there, he touched it, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I feel like a bat card is almost like it's like a sticker auto, but a signed baseball is like an on-card auto. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he was actually there. So I think my next big item, and I'm probably not too close to it, but it would be a single signed Babe Ruth baseball.
Well, nice. You're lucky. There's a lot of those out there. So yes, I'm going to move on. Mark, let's move on to some YouTube questions just to kind of keep the ball rolling a little bit.
Cool. You mind if I throw one at him?
Whatever you want to ask. Go, man.
All right. So I'm always kind of curious. So what got you started doing YouTube videos?
Okay. So funny that you asked, because I commented on Mike's video a while back about this. So I got some vintage wax packs when they were actually cheap. Like, I'm talking cheap. Like, I bought some 1970 wax packs for like $100. I bought an 86 Fleer basketball wax pack for $100. I mean, that's stupid cheap, Yeah. And even back then, that was a lot. This is like 7-8 years ago, before the market went nutso. So I got them, and I thought to myself, should I open it? Should I keep it? Is it worth it? And then I said, I wonder if someone else has already opened them. I want to see like what's going to happen. So I went on YouTube and I looked for people. I just typed in 1975 or 1970 wax pack baseball. And actually, one of the first videos that popped up was a baseball collector Mike video. So I watched it. It was like a mail day video or whatever it was. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. And I was like, oh my God, there's people making videos about this? Like, I get mail day every day, And it was so cool, Mike, because you kind of encouraged me like to kind of, be on YouTube. So I recorded myself opening up the 1970 wax packs, and I had a 1970 cello, which is like $1,000 pack that I think I paid like $120 for. Okay. long story short, I recorded that, I uploaded them, and then I noticed a lot of people were viewing them. And it's like the crappiest quality video on the planet. And it really is, guys. You don't even want to watch it, but it has 92,000 views. You know? Yeah, isn't that crazy? So when I started getting all those views, I thought, man, people want to see this stuff, and I want to see this stuff because I started watching your videos, Mike. Mark, I saw some of your videos too. I know you don't make too much content, but I saw a couple of videos you had, and then I was like, man, I got to start doing this. So I just jumped in because I was already buying, collecting, you know what I mean? Like getting mail day every day. And I thought to myself, let me document it. Even if I end up selling some of this stuff, it'll be cool to go back and watch my own videos and be like, oh yeah, I used to have that card.
Yeah. Where'd your YouTube handle name come from?
Okay, so LA is actually the initials of my name. Everyone thinks it's because I live in LA, and that's fine because I do live in LA and I love my LA teams.
I learned something here. Okay.
I'm sorry?
No, I thought the same thing. I thought LA, yeah.
Absolutely. But when I was a kid, I walked into a show and I think I had like $6 in my pocket. I was like maybe 13, 14. Yeah. And there used to be a ton of trade shows around here, a ton of card shows. And the only thing I could afford other than like maybe a pack of, 2000 Topps baseball was these free catalogs. So I could definitely afford these free auction catalogs. And I got a whole bunch, and a lot of them were showcasing famous people's collections. The Honus Wagner collection, the Lionel Carter collection, all these like famous collections. So I started reading about them, and I said, one day I'm going to have a collection worthy of a headline. So as a kid, I gave myself, it was first my full name. It was my first name, last name collection. And I realized how long that was. Yeah. So I brought it down to the LA collection, and I brought it down to LA collection just to simplify it. So that's kind of where it was like a childhood dream of mine to have a world-class collection. And I said, I might as well start with the name.
That's awesome.
Thanks for sharing that.
We got a question from Abel in Vegas. Has LA Collection seen Mike's Babe Ruth slabbed autograph?
Oh my God, I drooled all over it. I didn't. I starved myself for a week after I saw that thing.
It's actually pretty sweet.
That's the one you opened in your office, right?
I did.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Let's see what's next. What else do we want to talk about? We got lots to talk about.
And by the way, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and
follow. What's that, Mark? Yeah. Who
no, I was saying if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and.
Yeah, go ahead. But who else do you like to watch? And I'm sure there's a lot, but if you want to name a few that just you really dig on, what do you think?
Of modern players, there's a lot of good ones. Dodgers
have YouTube channels, other YouTube channels that you like.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I was thinking baseball. I watch. I mean, dude, whose don't I watch? I try to watch everybody's. I definitely watch all yours, Mike. I watch Lou Rock TV. I watch Vintage Oddball Cards.
Who are your favorites though? Like, who do you want to emulate? Like when you first started watching those videos, you said, man, you know what? I like what this person does. I kind of want to do these type of videos. So who are the ones that, I guess you kind of looked up to?
Again, one of the first people that I found was Baseball Collector Mike. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on his, he's interviewing me right now. But I really like, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of people who do content, and behind them is like, it looks like a laundry room. Mike's actually looks like a baseball man cave. So it's not just talk to talk, it's walk to walk. He's got jerseys, photos. He's got that monster cabinet full of, the beast, he calls it, full of slabs. So I love to see it, not just talk about it. So Mike is a good one. And let's see. Oh, New York Yanks fan 7. There's quite a lot that I see them actually living what they're talking. And those are the people that I kind of wish I had my room like better put together. So those are kind of the people that I like to emulate.
Cool. Mike, what was yours when you started? I don't think I ever heard you say that.
Like what channels did I look up to?
Yeah. What did you like?
I found like when I did I'm similar to a lot of us. It's like,
and besides me, of course. I mean, who else did you really love?
Besides Mark, it was I found Silver Jackify. I found Puff Bear 959. I found all these OG guys. Ray from Philly was one of the first guys I actually connected with. I felt like golly, nobody wants to talk to me, and I'm like, hey, can we talk? Like, and then now it just changes so much. Are you waving at people that are commenting? So I was like, there's no way people are going to give a rat's ass about what I'm showing on my collection. But hey, let's do it anyway. It'll be fun. And yeah, that was. What about you, Mark?
Man, there was only one guy because I'm kind of old school. I mean, I started like in 2011. I think my first video. I usually put about maybe 2 to 3 videos a year, if that. But there's a guy that was called, I think, Packers Corner.
He's still around?
Has he made a video in a while though?
I don't know. I don't follow him, so
I don't think so. I know who you're talking about. I don't.
Yeah, he was a teacher, and he would have like long hair, and I think he had like 4 kids or something like that, and he would kind of go and break down the whole process as far as submitting cards and to PSA and things like that, and just very detailed guy, And this was something that was still relatively new in the hobby. I think a lot of people had questions, and he kind of was the one answering those questions. So I really liked his videos. I haven't seen him do anything in a while. I'm hoping he comes out of hiding soon. I don't know. But that was a guy for me though.
Interesting. When I went to the National in 2017, is that right? No, 18 in Cleveland.
Okay.
I remember I was relatively new to making really consistent content, and I hadn't really met a ton of people. I'd talked to some guys, but I remember meeting Eric, seeing him and going, holy crap, that's those back pages. And
did you ask for his autograph?
No, but I did. I was kind of a little fanboy. And now Eric and I literally talk almost every day, so we're good buds. But it can be that way, and that's not a bad thing. It's just you see these guys, and we do have a question here for you, Livan, from the one and only YouTube Hall of Fame inductee this year, Lewis.
I was gonna answer that anyway. Bob Lewis, yes, I'm a collared shirt guy. I'm not gonna apologize.
This is the most excited he's gotten all night, by the way. So.
Right. Yes, I wear collared shirts. I'm not even going to get into all the questions about your hair, which is getting a lot of kudos from the crowd.
Your hair's on point. Yeah, your hair is on point tonight. Looking good.
Your hair is apparently very popular, more than the cards. But have you noticed because you've been doing videos how long?
I guess altogether about 6 years, 5 years.
Okay. Have you noticed the giant surge in new channels and the growth of the community, and what do you think about it?
I noticed about last year when I really started making a lot of videos is around the time when a lot of people started coming up with their channels. I think it's great for the community, but one thing I've noticed is that most people are not really committed to it. Like they'll make a few videos and then they'll disappear off the face of the earth. Not you, Mark, no offense. You obviously still make content and you're part of the community, but like there's people who will make content for like months and then you won't see them for like 6 months.
I'll tell you what, if people were buying some of the stuff you'll see why you can't make a video.
You got to work.
There's a reason behind it. I promise.
Absolutely, man. No, what I'm trying to say is I think it's great for the community. I love it. A lot of it is, of course, like repetitive content, breaking the same stuff, talking about the same stuff, which is fine to see other people's like views on it. Yeah. I just think, there's certain channels that are very much committed, like those back pages, like you, Mark, like you, Mike. So those are the channels I really try to focus on. So again, the new channels are great, but unfortunately, a lot of them, they're in it for 6 months and then they disappear. So I try to focus on the guys who are here to stay. Cool,
nice. So let's kind of move into a little beyond cardboard questions. And let's kind of do like a little speed round here, okay? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in another country. I was born in Armenia, and then I came here when I was about 4-ish. And I grew up in LA, a little area called North Hollywood. It's not part of Hollywood. It's just North Hollywood. It's kind of like it was like the gang-infested part of LA when we were growing up. So that was my neighborhood growing up.
Nice. And you don't have to answer this one though, but if you want to share, what do you do for a living?
No, I totally share. I love sharing information, guys, because I never want to make it seem like what we do is so far out of reach for collectors. What I do is I work in staffing. So I don't know if you guys know that, like temporary staffing, permanent placement staffing. So I work for a staffing agency, or I did for years. And about 6 months ago, actually 5 months ago, I started my own small business. So I'm independent and I just do staffing for a few clients. So I bring in anything from temporary help for 3-4 days to like they need to hire a marketing manager, and I'll go out there and I'll try to find somebody for them, like a headhunter.
It's funny. I think I've told Mike though that you're there kind of behind that big desk with all the cards and stuff. And I always feel like I want to buy a car off you. I don't know why. You know?
I'll sell you one.
You know, everything must go, and you're just like banging the price. Mike, you got a question?
Well, we got a question here from Classic Cards that we're going to switch back to your collection a little bit. Then we'll learn a little bit more about you. But Classic Cards, who, by the way, has a great intro. How did you get into collecting vintage pins? Any similarities with cards when determining if they're authentic or not? That's a great question.
That is a phenomenal question, and it's 2 questions. So I want to answer the pins question first. The reason why I got into collecting pins is because when I was about 15, 16, 17, when I really got into the vintage stuff, the cards were still very, very, very expensive and very out of my reach. And I was working as a busboy at a restaurant, at an IHOP. And then I was working at In-N-Out Burger, basically, cleaning, mopping floors, doing whatever. And I was making like $4 or $5 an hour back then, $6 an hour. So all I could afford were the pins. So I started buying a ton of pins, because the Babe Ruth, like the Quaker Oats pins, they were like $20, $15, $30, while the cards even back then were like $700, $800. I mean, today they're like $4,000 or $5,000, but back then they were like $600, $700, $800, which was way out of my price range. So I started buying the pins, and I started buying the memorabilia, like magazine covers, so-and-so. So once that stuff got popular, I started selling some of that stuff, and I started buying the cards. So I collected who I love and what I loved, and I collected what I could afford. So it was fun. And that's why I got into the pins, because I couldn't afford the cards, but then I ended up falling in love with it. So,
yeah.
And as far as the second question was, how do I determine?
What was that, Mike?
The authenticity of them, like if they're, because there are a lot of fakes out there, right? So
Sure. So I have bought a couple fakes. So that's one way you determine. You look at it, or you send a PSA and they reject them. But a lot of it, you want to touch it. If it feels too shiny, too glossy, something about it is too new, flip it over on the back. If it's like super shiny chrome, I mean, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And then most of them had some type of stamping, some type of embossing. So it's got to have some type of either paperback or embossing, or if you turn the pin to the side, you'll see there's some type of writing. It'll say like Parishon Novelty Company, Chicago, Illinois, something like that. Almost all those pins had some type of marking. So that's what you want to look for. And a lot of times, if you don't know, stay away from it, or take the risk, buy it, but only what you can afford to lose.
Or they can come and ask you.
Or you can ask me anytime.
Hey, Mike, we got a quick question from Abel, though, and I think it was partially answered, though. But I don't know if you see that. And the question is, being in the LA area, do you make it to a Long Beach show? And are there other shows in LA worth taking a weekend trip for, especially coming from Vegas? So I do know that you do have a table, right? You do participate in a show. Can you tell us maybe in about a minute or so?
Yes.
A little about.
Okay, so Abel, the Long Beach show is absolutely worth it. It's a gigantic show. It's like 95% coins, but there's a pretty big section of sports cards, and every single show it's growing more and more. The sports section is. I have a permanent table at Long Beach, and then there's another show. So Long Beach is definitely worth it to answer your question, especially if you want to come say hi. And also, there's another sports show that's starting in May that's exclusively a sports card show. It's called the Southern California Collectors Show. And I will comment on this video, and I will leave a link. Or if you want to comment on any of my videos, I'll comment and leave a link as well. So that show, I think, will be worth it. It's going to be the first time this year in May.
Nice.
All right, we got to ask some more audience questions because they're rolling in now, fast and furious. Real quick, from Hall of Fame Pullers, great name, by the way. Do you make it to many Major League Baseball games?
I go to probably 2 to 3 Dodger games annually, but working, collecting, there's a lot going on in my life. So I'm not a season ticket holder, and I don't go to a lot of games, but I'll go to 1 or 2 Laker games, 1 or 2 Kings games, and maybe 2, 3, 4 Dodger games at the most on an annual basis.
All right. Next question, and this has been asked several times by different people, so let's just throw it out there to you, man. Because I know you're a PSA guy mostly, right? And how do you feel about the whole PSA PWCC scandal?
Okay, so autograph guy, excellent question. I don't know if you noticed, I've avoided talking about this topic, but since you asked, I will say this. Please, guys, remember, okay, this is coming from a guy who submits approximately 1,000 cards to PSA every year, okay? So I'm a pretty big submitter, and they're all personals. I don't do like group submissions, although some of my friends might throw in a few cards now and then, but I submit a lot to PSA, so obviously I have faith in them, and I do like the company, and most of the stuff I have is PSA slab. But I'll tell you one thing, guys, as far as PWCC and the PSA scandal, and again, the reason why I said that I'm a big-time submitter is because I'm about to say something totally the opposite, is remember that PWCC is just an auction house. Now, we know they're one of the best in the business, and they should know better on some things. But remember, from your point of view, if you look at a card and you think, oh, maybe it's trimmed, and you say, well, let me send a PSA and see what happens. $8, right? Why not? And it comes back a PSA 4. You're going to be like, well, if the world-renowned experts say it's a 4, I'm going to go with that, right? It probably fits somewhere within that, you know, whatever the dimensions are in order to be to get slabbed. So although you might have thought it was trimmed, PSA thought it wasn't, or vice versa. Maybe it's not trimmed and PSA thinks there's evidence of trimming. So my point is, the big picture is not to point the finger at PWCC. The big picture is to point the finger at PSA. PSA should know better. They should live up to the own standards that they set in the industry. Okay, they set these super high standards, and they don't live up to them. So,
well,
go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to kind of piggyback. So I understand what you're saying, though, and also I do agree with about maybe 75% of that yes, PSA should be more accountable for that stuff. But I think the issue that people primarily have with companies like PWCC or Probstein is that they're selling these cards knowing that, you know, that they've been altered. And people from the message boards have sent them, you know, links to these to these examples. You know, hey, this was the same card in an 8. Now this card's a 10. And every card basically has like little identifiers, kind of like its own little serial number, whether it's like a small print dot or whatever the case is. And the fact that they don't take down these listings, they continue to sell. I think that's where really the issue lies as far as people hating on PWCC and other big companies. But it's not only these companies. I mean, you know, there's a lot of major dealers who are also doing this kind of thing, though. You know, but at the end of the day, me personally, I would rather have PSA take a look at it. And if PSA says that they're okay with it, I mean, you know, they are an expert in a sense that that's all they do. So yeah. I would feel more comfortable still at least buying a card from PSA rather than buying it raw.
Yeah,
you know, that's just me.
Look, I completely agree with what you're saying, Mark. All I'm saying is everyone's saying that, you know, Brett at PWCC, he's such a bad guy and he did all these bad things. But remember, he's an auction house. And remember, when he auctions off cards, he's auctioning off 10,000 cards ending in a 5-day window. He's not auctioning 50 cards. So I don't know. Does he sit there and examine every single card? Maybe he might have examined that 52 manual because that thing was clearly trimmed. But the rest of the stuff, I don't know if he examined it.
But I'm not okay. Well, he has a big staff under him, so that's number one. So it's not really him. Not only that, but if someone's sending an email saying, "Hey, take a look at this card. You know, this is it in the 8 holder. Now you can tell that this card has been trimmed." That's the thing. You know, you kind of gotta, you know, you gotta pull listings down, but he doesn't. He just kind of goes through with it, and that's really where the issue is. And I mean, this is a conversation for a different day because we can talk about this for another hour.
Sure.
But that's just my stance on it, and I definitely hear where you're coming from as well.
Absolutely.
So.
Sure.
Notice I'm being very quiet. God. Okay. Yeah. It's been talked about a lot, right? Ad nauseum. And I think there's a lot of blame to go around and a lot of bad characters and a lot of bad things happening. I wish there was a just clear-cut answer to fix all of this.
Yeah.
And there's just not. So let's move on to a different question. I wish that there was an easy answer. But back to your personal life a little bit, Livan, since we got a good handle on your cardboard life. Are you married, kids? What's your personal story a little bit?
Married, no kids, live in LA. Like I said, just a few months ago, I started my own little small business, and I'm talking very small. So far, I'm like a one-man, two-man show. So that's what I'm doing. And of course, collecting cards.
How long have you been married?
It'll be 4 years this year.
Congrats. And what is she, what's your wife's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. Her name is Ani.
Ani. Okay. What does she think about this whole craziness that we're all obsessed with?
So at first she used to question, like, what is that? Why are you buying it? Is it worth it? Why do you think it's worth it? And all questions that are valid that anybody who knows nothing about cards would ask. But for the most part, after I showed her a couple of like recent sales, like what's going on in the market, I showed her how vast this hobby can be and this industry and this business can be. She 100% supports me because she knows, for the most part, other than a few bozo mistakes, I'm pretty good at, buying things that are well worth the while. So she, believe it or not, fully supports me. So I'm lucky.
Cool. Any interesting facts about you? Do you have a secret talent? Do you, I don't know, do you play any instruments? Do you sing? Share.
Everybody sings in the shower, but we won't talk about that. I'll tell you an interesting talent that I do have, because I kind of picked it up while looking at like statistics on a baseball card. So every single letter in the alphabet, let's say A is the first letter of the alphabet, let's say that's 1, right? B is the second letter, so that's 2. So I can spell any word in number form or any number in letter form. For example, Mike Baseball Collector, like let's say Mike M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, right? So it's 13. Yeah, so okay, it's 13, 9, 11, 5, and then Baseball Collector is 2, 1, 19, 5, 2, 1, 12, 12, 3, 15, 12, 12, 5, 3, 20, 15, 18.
We got Rain Man here tonight.
Oh
gosh. So every number is the place of the letter in the alphabet. And I can do it vice versa.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else is gonna ever give that same answer. That was pretty unique.
Thank you.
We've gotten this question a couple times. I was going to ask it to you later anyway, but did you play ball when you were a kid? Did you what other sports maybe did you play as a kid? Maybe answer that.
Okay. So I did jujitsu and I played basketball as a kid. And then when I got to junior, and that's like, I'm talking like 12, 11, 10, 9, like as a kid. And then when I was a teenager, I played flag football, and then I played a real tackle football in high school. And then that was really the end of my sports career. I'll still like throw the ball around, play catch. But as far as organized sports, it was jujitsu, it was basketball, and then it was football. I don't know why. I always loved baseball to watch and to collect, but to play, I always wanted to play football. Probably the contact sport was more attractive to me as a kid. I just wanted to hit somebody.
Yeah. As a kid, did you have any hobbies growing up besides cards?
Yeah, I still have some hobbies outside of cards. As a family, we go hunting, we go fishing. I've actually been to Texas, about an hour north of San Antonio, to a private ranch a few years ago. So we hunt, we fish. I go to Utah all the time for hunting and fishing. So that's like the big hobby that I've had my whole life, thanks to my dad.
What do you hunt?
Deer, elk, wild pigs.
Dude, you should be a Texan. Like seriously, that's what we do that here just on a weekend. That's
oh yeah,
weekend.
Best pigs are in Texas, hands down.
No doubt, and they're everywhere, so you can kill them without worrying about. They're just feral. They're everywhere. So
yep.
I take my AR-15 and just go to town.
Nice.
So do you own any guns?
Yeah. I have a Weatherby with a web design, couple of rifles. I have a handgun 9mm just for like personal protection. Most of the guns I use, my dad has a collection of guns. So whenever we go hunting, he usually brings out all his big guns, no puns intended. Yeah. So I usually use one of his. I feel like if I don't, he'll be disappointed. He'll be like, I have all these guns. Why aren't you using some of mine? So mostly rifles, shotguns, and a couple of handguns.
Nice. Yeah, you're an honorary Texan now for saying all that. But
thank you.
So hey, we've been going through a lot of this stuff. It's now time for my favorite part of the show, and that's rapid fire. So
all right.
Where I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions, and we may have some time for some more audience questions towards the end, but I want to do some rapid fire because I like hearing everybody's answers to this. It always cracks me up. So are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right, favorite pizza topping?
Bacon.
That's a first. You're the first bacon answer. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Rocky Road.
Mustard or ketchup on your hot dog?
Mustard, ketchup, and relish.
Ooh, the trifecta of awesome. Do you drink coffee?
I love coffee, and it doesn't even affect me. I could drink 2 cups and fall asleep like a baby.
Do you use creamer or do you drink it black?
I drink it usually with hazelnut creamer.
I'm hazelnut creamer. We might be brothers, but that's all right. Are you a good dancer?
I'm okay for a guy who's never taken dancing lessons. I can keep a rhythm, but I'm not going to be on Dancing with the Stars anytime soon.
There are some, by the way, if you come to the National, since you'll be a rookie from a YouTube standpoint, since you know that we do have some hazing rituals of dancing and some other things that you'll be put through. Mark and I, we run that part of the program on the YouTube get together.
Haze away.
What's your middle name?
I don't have a middle name. Growing up, a couple like if you take the first 3 letters of my name, it's Lev. So most people called me Lev. I had a friend that used to call me Porky growing up. I've had a lot of nicknames, but no middle name.
Okay. What was your first car?
It was an old piece of junk Mercedes that barely ran. The gauges didn't work. It was like a 1986 SEL. It was a piece of junk, man. It was like a boat.
And what about now? What do you drive now?
I drive a Toyota Camry.
There you go. Smart. Do you prefer beer or liquor?
Liquor, bourbon, preferably. Whiskey's good too.
Yeah, you're definitely part Texan. Favorite candy bar?
Probably Score.
A score? What's a score?
Yeah.
Is that a Texas thing?
Don't know that one. You'll have to bring one to the National if you come and let me try it.
Okay. I like the Score. What do you say?
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Lucky Charms.
Yes. Okay. Favorite soda?
Okay, so this is a good one. It's Cherry Coke Zero.
Okay. Pretty good. What's your favorite?
No easy answers here.
No way. Favorite board game?
Favorite, I don't know if I had a favorite board game. I kind of like Scrabble in a weird way, but I don't know if I really had one.
Well, with letters and numbers that you were just showing us earlier, that makes total sense that Scrabble would be a game that you would like. Favorite video game?
Growing up, I loved Sonic the Hedgehog, and then there was a big arcade game, if you guys remember, they probably still have it, where you're fishing. It was like Bassmasters or something. So I was never, ever into like arcades in front of the TV. Video games in front of the TV. But like as far as the big arcade video games, I love the Bassmasters, the fishing one.
Cool. Favorite movie franchise?
Oh, man.
This one could make or break you, so.
It could make or break me. Titanic. No, I'm kidding.
I'm clicking. Here we go. Like right there. No.
I have to say it's kind of a tie between James Bond and Fast and the Furious.
Okay. Fast and the Furious, James Bond, good stuff.
I love cars.
What's your favorite sport to play?
Football, right?
Now, yeah, it would be football, but football's so hard to kind of, get the pads and everything. I would say probably an easier sport to play that I love is baseball.
Okay. What's your favorite sport to watch?
Baseball or basketball? I think they're pretty even. Probably baseball.
And what's your favorite chick flick?
Wedding Crashers.
That's not a chick flick. That's
for me.
That's
I don't know. I mean, what's a good chick flick?
well,
you're not. Don't fall for that. Like,
one. It's the trick.
Don't fall for that.
Got it. Okay, so I'm sticking with Wedding Crashers.
So we got a question from Victor here. Can we get back to cards? Last I checked, this show is called Beyond Cardboard. Therefore, the attempt here is and purpose is to go beyond cards. If they want to learn about what we all do for cards, you can go watch all our other videos. That's what that's all about, right?
We're getting to know another YouTuber here, so that's what this is about. No, I said that we are getting to know YouTubers on this show.
Right.
Hey, but I do got a question for you though. So if you could have a drink with any ball player, alive or deceased, who would it be?
So I don't want to piggyback on John Mangini, but I would say absolutely 110% every day of the week and twice on Sunday, Babe Ruth. I mean, I want to look him in the eye and ask him if he knows half of how great he was. I mean, he was a phenomenal human being, loved children, generous to the heart if there ever was. In my opinion, he created philanthropy in athletes. No athlete had a philanthropic outlook towards anything outside of sports except Babe Ruth. He would go to hospitals, right, and sign dozens of baseballs for kids, and he would give away tons of money or whatever it was just to help people when it wasn't cool to do it. So it's got to be Babe Ruth.
Cool. There's actually a really cool story with Babe Ruth, and I'm probably going to get some of this wrong because I heard it a few years ago. But of course, it's no secret that Babe Ruth just had a big heart for children. And I guess this kid asked him if he can sign, if he can have his autograph a few times on a piece of paper. And Babe Ruth was like, why do you need it so many times? And the kid said something along the lines of, so my family can eat, so I can sell these. And Babe Ruth actually got his notebook and he signed his name on the piece of paper. I don't know how many times, but I think it was like 12 or something like that. And he said, now every time you need to go eat or to buy your family food, you just go ahead and cut one and you sell it. And eventually the kid did cut a few of them, but I think the paper for the most part is still intact. And I think an auction house sold it recently. But just, I mean, kind of just shows you what character this guy had. So
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. And then one other thing, I mean, sorry, Mike, can I say, imagine this, you're a 5-year-old kid playing at a ballpark and the biggest baseball star / athlete in the world pulls over and says, hey kids, can I play with you? He did that every week.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Here's great another question.
It's Livan, but so it's Livan is the correct one. It's pronounced Levon, but when I would go to shows as a kid and I would say my name is Levon, nobody ever remembered it. So I created yet another nickname, Larry, and I just kind of rolled with that. So it just kind of stuck.
Either way.
I'm sorry, we got a question here from Autograph Guy. It's a pretty good one though, since you being a Babe Ruth fan, and it says, have you been to the Babe Ruth Museum in Baltimore? Okay, so I actually went to Baltimore the first time a few months ago, and I did actually go to the museum. It's actually, I think it was his grandparents' home, and I think Babe Ruth just lived there for just a couple of years. But it's pretty cool because if you've never been to Baltimore, I definitely recommend you check that out. It's within walking distance of Camden Yards. What is that? Camden Yards, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. They have actually like an authentic Babe Ruth bat. They have like some pants and a jersey that he wore. They have a Babe Ruth rookie card over there as well, I believe. But yeah, just if you've never been there, definitely check that out there.
But by the way, if there's any Baltimore Oriole fans, I want to say something. Dude, you guys are like the craziest loyal fans that I've seen. When I was there at the Orioles at Camden Yards, there was this old couple. I'm talking like they're pushing 90s. And the guy, true story, the husband was blind and the wife and the husband were walking like this. Step, 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 and the wife had her arm in the husband's arm, and they were walking to the game like one step at a time, and they were in head to toe socks, pants, hat, headband, wristband, Orioles gear. It was the most amazing thing I ever saw. And the guy was blind, and the wife could barely walk, and they went to a game.
One last question here. Then we got to get rolling. But what's the best book out there that has been written about the Babe, in your opinion?
I personally own over 60 different biographies. I mean, there's so many. Yeah. There's probably over 100 of them. I don't know anybody that there's more biographies written about than Babe Ruth, at least no athlete. I would say the one that's the Babe Ruth story, it's by Bob Considine. That's the only one that Babe Ruth actually authorized. So it's the only authorized biography by Babe Ruth. I would say read that one, but you can't go wrong, man. There's so many. I can't even pick one.
That's awesome. Well, man, our time's up here, man. First, I want to, as always, thank Mark for being the great co-host that he is on this. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And Livan, you want to say anything, kind of last words to the people out there watching?
Yeah, if I could say one thing, number one, thank you, Mike, for letting me be on the show. You know, I asked you to be on it, but you didn't have to be generous and let me be on it. Mark, thank you for hosting. You're awesome. Thank you for your questions, and you're a huge asset to our community. One thing I really want to say, thank you to everybody who subs or comments or watches the videos, even if you're just a silent watcher. There's a million YouTube channels you can watch. I appreciate you watching mine. And there's one message I want to send to everybody, whether you're a new collector or you're an institutional collector for the past 50 years. Use the hobby to get anything and everything you want, guys. This hobby is an amazing hobby. I know not everything is about money, but when you really want to buy something, it costs money. So buy, sell, flip, trade, go to your card shows, go to your card shops, go through the bargain bins, and use this hobby to get everything you want. When you see a guy holding a $5,000-$6,000 baseball card, there's nothing special about me or anybody else who owns a $100,000 or $1 million baseball card. All they did was they went out there, they bought, they sold, they flipped, they made some money, they saved up, they invested, and they bought the things they wanted. And if you're not going to be a stock investor or a real estate investor or a business investor, use the hobby as your investment tool, your vehicle to get anything and everything you want in your life, guys. It's totally possible. When you see a guy holding a $50,000 card, don't think there's anything special about him. He just went out there and did the work, and you can too. Don't just watch videos and be like, wow, this guy has this amazing card. It's just a baseball card. Go out there, make it happen. You can do it. Seriously, don't just be impressed by other people's stuff, guys. Please, please, please. You can do anything. And if you're in America, more power to you, man. This is the one country in the world. If anything's possible, it's right here. Don't let that opportunity slip by.
Nice. Hey, I know we're about to wrap this up, though, but I got a $30 bet with Mike, though. Okay. So I'm saying that you have that Mickey Mantle right next to you, the 52. He's saying no, though.
I don't have it, no.
No,
I did pull out some stuff in case you guys wanted to see it, but
don't show me that DeLong Gehrig. I'm going to get jealous. Don't.
All right, I won't show it to you.
Hey! All right. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for tuning in again for the 25th episode of Beyond Cardboard.
Awesome.
We will catch you guys soon. Mark and I are going to be hunting for our next guest. We'll catch you guys soon and keep collecting.
Thanks, guys.